Today on the Wrestling Roundtable, we review WrestleMania 25 and the best and worst build-ups. Sorry that we're doing a show. I was just in a coma from WrestleMania 25. Hi, welcome to the Wrestling Roundtable. I'm your host, Eric Santamaria, and if you look at the panel, you'll notice that the usual, our core of Lawrence Haber and Rodney LeConte are gone. They are still in comas from WrestleMania 25, so filling in for a change, to my right, which is your left, of course, Brett Simonello, a fan of 22 years, Chris Harris, film archiver and fan of 17 years, also a musician sometimes as well, usually when people are gone, then you can bang on the drums. And also to my left, which is your right, is Team Oliveira trainee Martin LeConte, a fan of 12 years, and you missed the last Naga. You better make the one coming up in August. Before we move on to the discussion of WrestleMania 25, you may notice some of the ads that are popping up now on the channel here and on the video itself. I hate the ads too. I think they're annoying, but every click gives us a little money, so make sure to support the show by clicking on it or going to WrestlingRoundtable.com, our official site, and you can get the great Wrestling Roundtable t-shirt and a free indie DVD with every order as well. But there's also lots more for you at WrestlingRoundtable.com. You can send in your questions, your columns, and a message board. I also want to remind everybody to request us on MySpace, on Facebook, and some people have been asking about the Q&A. When are we going to do another one? Well, that's up to you. Send in some good questions, and remember to include your first name and location as well. Through the various means you can contact us. You can send it on here on YouTube, our other websites, MySpace, WrestlingRoundtable.com, whatever it might be. You can even upload your own video. No one ever has. It saves me some time. But if you want to do that, feel free. Now, unfortunately, WrestleMania wasn't free, unless, of course, you watch some website. So, WrestleMania 25, what do you guys think?
Well, I didn't hate it. I thought it had some solid stuff there. My favorite match was
like
probably
a bowel movement.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had one of those. My favorite match was the Hardy match. I like the two going at it. They did some
You mean
silly
the
stuff.
biggest backyard wrestling match of all time?
Loved it.
It was awful.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 moments where I wasn't slitting my wrists. Santina, Steamboat and Jericho, the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match were the only moments I was awake.
Now, Martin, you joined us on our first blog. You want to expand on it a little more beyond Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank was actually pretty good.
If you like sloppy stuff.
That's the first thing you want to get them into, watching WrestleMania, I guess.
It's a hot way to start the show.
Exactly.
You show them some ladders, people go crazy.
Too bad if you're black, you can't win.
Well, you want to talk about the Brothers of Destruction. That was the destruction of the brothers. Half the people in the Money in the Bank are black, and they still can't win. But it seems as if WrestleMania 25, from what I've seen of the reaction, from what people have said on our blog and on other sites as well, it seems very polarizing. Either you really hated it or you really loved it. As you could probably guess, I fall into the hated it. It was awful. Awful. The first hour had 2 matches. The Money in the Bank can be nice. But at the end of the day, all it is giving these guys, who should be the stars, a couple spots that they fuck up half the time anyway. Punk, last year, did win it. And it seemed this year, when they did it again, he was getting heel heat. Why do you think that is? Is it a backlash from doing the same thing over again?
The fans are just sick of it. They want you to pull the trigger and make a new star. Punk's been over for, what, 3 years now? And they gave him one fucked up title run that nobody cares about.
We've seen this before. And not only that.
It didn't work last year. Why is it going to work again?
They're probably going to do the same thing, but this time they're going to make him a heel, maybe as a champion.
Let him feud with Cena as a heel is the best thing you can do.
I'm not looking forward to CM Punk cashing in the briefcase. It's not going to be like, oh, this is finally it. I think he's going to do it today. You know, I don't care when he's going to do it. Just get it over with already.
They put a joke title reign on him last year and screwed him out of it, and it was like they barely even supported him in the first place. But is it also they wanted Christian to win?
I think a large majority of the fans wanted either Christian or MVP to win that match.
And how great would Christian have won and then come out if Edge would have won and challenged him at the end of Mania?
Yeah.
I suppose if you like those two. But one of the first 2 matches in the first hour, 4-hour pay-per-view, there's 2 matches, came after this torturous Kid Rock concert. Now, I love Kid Rock. I love his music, but I seem to remember wanting to watch WrestleMania. Yeah. I would have rather seen a wrestling match.
This is them trying to prove that they're the Super Bowl of wrestling. I'm sorry, but Kid Rock's
Was it the quarter-hour show?
Kid Rock's not Bruce Springsteen. We don't care to see him play for 20 minutes. No, just get the show going.
Exactly. Like Springsteen would have done any better.
Their big special entrance for the Divas completely defeated the whole purpose of that match. Nobody wanted to see the match. They wanted to hear Sonny's music go off. They wanted to hear Tori Wilson. Where'd they go? I think Jackie Gator's in the match. Wait, no, she was eliminated 5 minutes ago. I'm pretty sure she was in it, though.
Yeah, you couldn't tell who half those people were. All it was blonde hair and fake tits.
I was in the match.
They did cut the unification tag lumberjack match.
Why?
Because we had that Kid Rock sing. But not just that, there's so many people who were lumberjacks in that match who should have had a match. Obviously, the only other world champion that wasn't on the show, Jack Swagger, we were all hoping for a match with Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne, whatever the hell his name is. Even 10 minutes, the 10 minutes that Kid Rock sang, at least it would have been a match. But also, after that, another mess was Jericho against the Zombies.
Two zombies.
Yeah, two zombies.
Two zombies.
Two zombies and a very pleasant surprise.
One guy that proved that he's better than half the roster.
Snuka comes in at 64, looking like he's about to fall apart, like the zombie in Thriller, and when he throws a chop, his arm falls off. Steamboat comes in after Snuka and Piper and blows them out of the water. A guy who kept himself in shape, still could move, and looked great. This 50-something-year-old upstaged practically everybody else outside of Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. It's great that he did planchas and stuff off the top rope and everything, but even little things. And I think that's why a lot of people have been saying this past week that these young guys don't know how to work. It's little things. For instance, when they were in the corner and he ran in and got a boot from Jericho, and he's grabbing the ropes to keep himself up, and then Jericho, who is a good worker himself, kicks and he goes falling. Little things that other wrestlers haven't picked up on.
They're too busy playing Guitar Hero to pick up on these things.
Well, that's the other extreme. We don't need to talk about wrestling every single second that we're alive, even though that's what we based our show on. But we are going to have to move on, and we're going to switch up the panel when we come back. More on WrestleMania 25 when the Wrestling Roundtable returns.
I'll tell you though, the Big Show didn't suck as much as I thought he was going to.
Yeah, Big Show stepped it up. Definitely.
But you know what though? Just like I think Big Show actually felt, that it was special.
Well, he's not in the gimmick match for once.
The poor guy's got the worst WrestleMania record though. Did anybody else watch the SmackDown where they cut to the Access?
I saw parts of it.
Did you see the Undertaker's graveyard part where Jerry Lawler mentioned that the Big Boss Man was buried in the Undertaker's graveyard?
No, he didn't.
What? I'm the only one that saw this. They had like a graveyard of all the souls that and Jerry Lawler goes, there's the Big Boss Man's tombstone in the Undertaker's graveyard. I'm like, oh jeez.
What a classic. Welcome back to the Wrestling Roundtable. If you watched our first vlog, then you saw these two guys bearing through WrestleMania with me. Lawrence Haber to my left, which is your right, a fan of over 2 decades. Maybe it's your 25th anniversary. And also a composer to my right, which is your left, is Rodney LeConte, film director, MTV employee, and a fan of 20 years as well. And I want to throw this to you guys. We did the blog immediately after it went off the air, more or less. With about a week's worth of perspective, what do you guys think about the show now?
Well, if you saw my blog, when I came to Eric's house, I started like this. And doing the blog, I was really like this, trying to keep myself awake. Honestly, top to bottom, the show is stale. The things that we popped for was Kid Rock singing All Summer Long because Lawrence hated it and we liked it. A 56-year-old man who hasn't wrestled in over a decade, 15 years. And 2 wrestlers who started feuding 12 years ago. So what does that say about the current product? Not too good.
I'm still waking up myself. Yeah, need a lot of caffeine this whole week to get through it. It was a big show. Everything was big. The set was big, and they had all these big matches, and yet it was so small and insignificant in the larger scheme of things. One really good match straight through, except, I must say, we really didn't get into it until we thought The Undertaker had died. But other than that, it will be forgettable. And it was already forgotten by the Raw after.
The pacing was off, the timing was off the show. They could have reformatted a whole nother way. Just badly structured.
It's so sad that 2 guys who are basically pushing 50, between them they have 1 knee, a half a back. It's gonna go down as a classic match.
It was a great match.
It's gonna. I don't think anything's gonna really beat that for match of the year in WWE.
But you know what? But did
Yeah.
it live up to the expectations?
I thought it
that's
did.
still Undertaker almost died.
Well, no matter what happened, people were going to love it, and we're all ready to write their columns and blogs about how it was the best WrestleMania match ever. One
It
of the
had
2
7
or 3
stars
best
before it
WrestleMania-
went on the air.
Yeah, exactly.
it was
out of
definitely
5, right?
Undertaker's best WrestleMania match, not Michaels. It was probably the best WrestleMania match since Michaels' angle, in my opinion.
It's already being overrated. Now, words, people, pay attention to words. Overrated does not mean bad. It just means it's being rated over where it should be. It was a good match. Is it the best match at WrestleMania ever?
Far from it.
No. Is it the best Undertaker match at WrestleMania? Perhaps, maybe not Michaels. But I still don't even think it's the best match those two have even had together ever. But that's another thing.
Maybe
was
this
12
isn't
years
fair,
ago, though.
but if you take out the streak element of the match and just had it be a one-on-one match, would we be even saying it was this great classic match?
Probably. The streak wasn't emphasized as much as I would have thought, especially with beating
I
Flair
would say
last
that.
year.
I don't know about that. I mean, there was a giant 17-0 on the thing.
Yeah,
after
but
the
they do
match
that
was
for
out.
Mark Henry and crap like that. But to me, a great match is great from bell to bell. And this one, the first half of it, it wasn't bad, except, of course, Shawn Michaels paying tribute to the Daniel Killer. Because I'm wrong bringing up that this guy does the move that killed Daniel. Yeah, I'm the one that's wrong.
Yeah.
You keep cheering for the murderer's name.
You know what I hate too? It's a match that exists only in a vacuum. It doesn't affect anything else. No character development, no other storylines, no belts, no nothing. It happened. It's a DVD that they're going to sell, and that's it.
At least it kept them out of the title picture. The second half of that match was really good. I don't want to take away from it at all. It had a great finish. And that's the
A
thing
lot of great drama behind it.
That's one thing I did notice about this card. The Undertaker-Michaels match may have been good, but the finishes were good in a lot of matches. Even the Hardys match, which I thought was awful, had a great finish.
I liked that Matt got the win too, because they desperately need heels over on whatever show he's on.
They have a draft every week, apparently.
Yeah, but yeah, that could lead to a good feud down the road of him versus Triple H. Not that he would win the belt, but at least it's another heel.
That was the whole point of turning Matt heel, was to develop his character. He was kind of at a stalemate when he was a face. The whole point of turning someone heel is to have him going over the top faces to develop him more and get him more over with fans. So that way, if he becomes a huge baby face, he could sell some more shirts or do whatever, sell some more backyard Matt Hardy DVDs.
Speaking of backyard like that match was, I don't buy Jeff landing on his ass from 20 feet up as a near fall, because that ass is probably taking so much pounding it didn't affect it at all. But you must be really thrilled, because in the build-up to WrestleMania show that we did, you said, why can't we have an Intercontinental title match? Since we shot that, you've got 21 more seconds of Intercontinental title
Be
match.
careful what you wish for.
They won it, but not in the fashion that I would have liked to see.
Yeah, as Doink the Clown, apparently. Cena's entrance was awesome, as was Michaels. But that match is another one that had a strong finish with that really impressive double FU attempt, whatever the fuck it's
Amazing.
called.
Attitude adjuster.
Natural
Yeah.
physique and his
Well,
lack of
natural.
performance-enhancing
Yeah.
drugs that he doesn't
But then they had the Hall of Fame segment with Austin come out on his toy. And a lot of people have been saying in the past week with the Hall of Fame, is it too early for Steve Austin to be in there?
Yeah, there's so many people that are older than him that still aren't in, and they always have to have the one big guy. Eventually it'll be Rock and McMahon, and then they'll have to beg Savage or San Martino to come back just to have the big guy. But watching his speech at the Hall of Fame, it just seemed like he's still in that bitter transitioning into another career mode where he doesn't really want anything to do with wrestling. And his speech wasn't the usual, like, I love everybody, I love you, and Vince McMahon, you were there too, and Dorothy and Toto, you were there too, and I love everybody, wrestling is great.
That's
It
because they
was
cut
more
down their
like-
time.
It was just kind of like he was, thanks for this, we got it out of the way, see you later, because Stone Cold said so.
I think it's fine that you put him in now. It's 25th anniversary. He's probably the second biggest wrestler of all time.
The idea is they're inducting legends, people like Steamboat, and it takes away from those guys. And it also brings it back to, why isn't Michaels and Taker in? Because they're still active in pursuing championships.
But Austin's
you know?
been active for 6 years
Yeah, but
now.
Flair was wrestling last year, and he went in because it's part of his retirement angle. There's no system; they just kind of picked.
There are no
We
rules.
just- I know, yeah,
You
and they
pick
were in
names
Texas.
out of a hat.
So
How do you
it
think
was,
Coco
it was
Beware got
logical,
there?
but the feel of the moment of Austin going in seemed, if not contrived, very, very shallow. And for the guy that is as big as he is, it just
It
seemed
could have
like
been bigger.
it
but
was
they
like
did
he
it-
was giving them the rub.
Half the reason why they did it was because in Texas, number one, And,
I
you know,
know the logistical
yeah,
reasons
exactly.
for the choice.
But
you
people
know.
are still talking about they want to see Austin Cena. They want to see Austin Hogan. You know,
The story's not over yet. You know,
exactly.
the Hogan story
especially
is
the way
pretty
it
much over.
ended. Especially the way he ended.
I think it's pretty much over. Even if he does come back for one more match,
What
why
does it
not?
matter? Hogan comes back every once in everybody comes back. This is bullshit about retiring and going to this Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous. It's not baseball.
That's the problem. Like in baseball, it's like you retire and there's like a 10, 15.
It's like, you have a waiting period.
Exactly.
God,
Which
imagine
makes
if we
it
had
really
that here.
special.
Nobody would be alive to see it.
Well, I'm surprised that Triple H hasn't inducted himself and accepted for himself yet, because he did finish the show not learning from his mistake back in 2002. He did the exact same thing and put himself after the match people really wanted to see. And you could tell when Orton comes out, the biggest heel in the company who's done all this horrible stuff, and people were sitting on their hands instead of reacting to the top heel like they should. Mission accomplished, Triple H.
What I don't understand is how people on the internet, radio shows, are really disappointed with this Orton Triple H match. It didn't go to expectations.
What were they
I don't know
What were
the
your
hell they
expectations
expected.
high for?
This match, they don't have good chemistry. They never had a great match, in my opinion, exactly as I predicted.
Here's the problem. Your biggest show, you're in Texas, WrestleMania 25. Got all these stars. You got Cena, Undertaker and Michaels, Mysterio, all these people that are so much, obviously more, the big baby faces, the big stars. And it's still Triple H they look forward to. After they've seen a Michaels Undertaker match, Austin going into the Hall
crowd
of
was
Fame,
burned
and
out
Cena
from
winning the
everything.
title.
The worst
Yeah.
part also is he's supposed to be the big baby face. He still had to cheat to win. Like, this is ridiculous. Orton got like no offense in, and then he still needs that fucking sledgehammer
And the
to
whole
win.
point of the feud was supposed to be for Orton to finally go over and become
Yeah.
anointed as champion. He
But
won the
it
Rumble.
wasn't going to happen. We had, like you said in the blog, we had the age of Orton already.
For the match itself, a lot of people have been shitting all over it. And at first, I thought, it wasn't that bad. I liked the spots at the beginning when they hit their finishers out of nowhere. That set up a good story for the rest of
Yeah,
the
that
match.
was-
Unfortunately, they suck. And the match showed it. It had two of the stupidest spots I've ever seen this WrestleMania. At the beginning, which was Hornswoggle doing a plancha and everyone bumping, including Kane. But it ends with Orton going for a punt that Triple H catches. Now, what would a wrestler in a fight do when his leg is caught? Punch the guy or grab his leg? Give me my leg back. It was pathetic. It was stupid. But the part when I thought about during the week leading up to this show that I really resent about WrestleMania the most, this is certainly not the worst WrestleMania. There were some good parts. Santino was funny. The Undertaker-Michaels match was great. There were some good entrances, some good finishes, even though the rest of it was pretty much a bore and sloppy. But the thing that I resent about this the most is the roster. When you said to me that the most over people on the show were in their 50s and 40s, they are starting to really, I think, push maximum overload with having the same people. Because we've been watching a long time, so maybe we're not the right audience. Maybe they don't care about us and will just rest on their laurels of giving us DVDs and 24/7 or whatever. You would think they would be the most loyal, like they're trying to target kids now, like religion and smoking and hook them when they're young.
Right.
If they want to make a lifelong fan out of us, shouldn't they be treating us with some sort of courtesy and respect throughout our lifetimes? Because if you look around when we started watching, myself in particular, 1990, you go forward 4 years or so, it is a completely different set of people, not just on the card of WrestleMania, but at the top. You go forward another years, the same thing. Now, look 4 years ago at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 21, you had a match featuring a lot of people who should have been on the show and got cut in the pre-show Battle Royal. Now it's a lumberjack match, same thing. You go to the Money in the Bank match, it had Christian, Kane, and Shelton Benjamin in it. You had Triple H in a main event for a world title where Cena had to go underneath the card and challenge for the other world titles. Same thing happened this time. And the featured stars of WrestleMania 21 were, in large part, Edge, Orton, JBL, Batista, Undertaker, and Big Show. That, to me, is unacceptable when you have a roster full of young guys who could be tearing it up not just against each other, but also with those sort of people. When you have people who should be in prominent starring spots, Kofi Kingston, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, DiBiase, Matt Sydal, Jack Swagger, The Cologne, Spanky, Miz and Morrison, it goes on and on. Those guys should be the stars, and they get cut because JBL spends too much time staring at the
They
screen.
unified tag titles in a lumberjack match featuring everyone, and they cut that match.
I'm going to have to cut your point because we are done with WrestleMania 25. Maybe we'll cover it next year. It'll be 20 straight years watching it for me.
The real 25th anniversary?
I don't know if I can make it. Hopefully you can make it to our next segment because that's going to be the best and worst build-ups when we come back.